Hey, this is Derek Caffe with Caffe Realty. I am back after a long hiatus. You'll have to excuse me. I am busy trying to run both a real estate brokerage and a construction company. And something that'll be new to all viewers, whether old or new, is that I am now running for Austell City Council, Ward 1. Let me catch you up and then I'll get to what I wanted to talk about with regards to if you are a first-time home buyer and you're dealing with the market today, just a different strategy that I would say if you're coming at it from the investment standpoint. This is not if you're just coming at it from the, I'm just looking for a pretty house perspective, but you could potentially get some insights from the more investment focused side of things. If you're new to the channel, my name is Derek Caffe. I am a licensed commercial real estate broker and a licensed general contractor here in the great state of Georgia. I'm also a retired Army veteran. Go Army, who? And yeah, there's lots of things about me. But to bring you up to date, because you haven't heard from me in a while, as of tomorrow, I have an eviction on a property at 2415 Wells Drive. We've been working on that for a while now, and finally the day is here. Sheriff will be there tomorrow, and I have the crew ready to go to move out the business that's in there, and then to get back control of the property for my client. So eviction is going through. One of my previous clients, I sold her first investment property for her. She didn't use me to purchase the investment property, which is the reason she was selling it just under or just over a year after she purchased it. And so now we're looking to get her first investment property the right way. While I've sold her property previously, now I'm working with her as a buyer. At 4.5 acres in Mableton, that listing expired. Still working with the seller to come up with a solution to get the property sold. They're potentially looking to build themselves. But in the meantime, I'm still working with them to try to figure out a solution for the property. What else? On the construction side, busy, and I think a lot of clients are getting sticker shock because the costs are what the costs are, and construction is not cheap nowadays. I've had a couple of clients where I've reached out to subcontractors, got back with them, and first of all, let's talk about subcontractors. People are busy. There are people who are busy and there are people who are not busy, but a lot of the quality subs, they're busy. And when you're doing projects, particularly commercial leaning projects, you want to bring on people who have the skill set. And as a GC, I want to make my life easier, and I want to bring on the people who know what they're doing. And for the most part, construction is a lot about on-the-job training, but as the GC and where I'm at in my career, I don't want to have to be the person to give that person the on-the-job training as much. I'm not going to say I'm not willing to learn right alongside them, but you really need subs that know what they're doing, get things done first time right, so we're not dealing with client issues with the inspections, etc. Working on a project in Marietta, but then there was a warehouse remodel I was doing in Austell. They have decided to look at other options before potentially coming back to me, because the price I gave them was a price that they did not expect it to be. And once again, it's just, I've been out there and I'm looking for the subs who can do these projects, and it's a hard market out there in the construction field, especially if you're talking about the smaller scale projects. We're dealing with a shortage of people who are in the trades, and you have a lot of people who were in the trades who are retiring. As many know, there's basically not enough people to replace the people that are going out of the trades. And so we're dealing with this issue when you're trying to call for subs and get things done, because the good people, they're busy. And then the other people, you have to train them. Hey, this is how you do it in commercial. This is a fire rated wall, so then you have to use fire rated insulation. This is you've typically used wood studs. Now you have to use metal studs. I've never used metal studs. Here's how this goes. So there's a lot of problem solving that needs to happen in the construction space. And there's a lot of people being surprised by what they thought would be something that's a couple thousand and it winds up being a couple tens of thousands. Because most of the time, most people realistically have no clue what the cost of what they want to have done, what that cost is. People are winding up with sticker shock, especially in the economy that appears to be tightening. I'm not going to say appears to be tightening. In an economy that is tightening, depending on where you're at and what class you are in America. So that's that with everything with real estate and construction. And of course, as I said, running for city council. So there's campaigning, and that is something that is new on top of an already busy schedule. But get out there, talk to people, tell people my ideas. A lot of people, because I've already been active in the community, a lot of people are familiar with me, but of course there are many more people who absolutely have no clue who I am. And I want them to know who I am and how I plan to make their life better within the city. That's what campaigning is all about, just really getting out there and getting people to know who you are. And so if you're a viewer and you would like to donate to my campaign, you could go to my website. It is derekcaffe.com. That's DEREKCAFFE.com. And so with no further ado, let's get to the subject of this video. And it really goes back to what I said earlier, which was a client who I was working with and I sold their property. Now I'm working with them on the buy side of things. And there's a lot of sticker shock, what you can get for your dollar. Surprise that many people are running into. And this client, like I said, they want to purchase a good investment property, but the reality is the Atlanta rental market has took a hit over the past year. Rents are down in Atlanta, supplies up, which is a good thing, but the cost of the price of the housing has not come down, particularly when you're looking at, does this make sense? If I purchase this property at this price and I'm going to rent it out, do the rents cover the mortgage? And in some cases, actually in many cases, that's not the case. And for people who are looking to get into the market, I was trying to think of how, if I started out buying my first property in 2015, totally different marketplace. And so if I was starting today, 10 years later, it's a totally different marketplace. And I think many times what people do is they just keep regurgitating the same thing over and over and not understanding that it's not about survival of the fittest. It's about who's able to adapt. And so things that may have worked in the past, truthfully, we're just in a different economy. And it's moving towards, I'm not going to say it's moving towards, it's already here and it's getting worse, where it's an economy where you're supposed to rely on the wealth of your, I'm not going to call it, I was going to say ancestors, and I'm like, that's not the right word. But your lineage, the lineage that came before you, your mother, your grandmother, maybe aunts and uncles even, that's supposed to be who is helping you out to be able to do the things that you do in America. America is moving. I'm not going to, well, I keep saying America is moving from. It's already moved from it. It's already here. We're feeling the effects of it today, where it's more about inheritance than it is just starting from the ground floor, no wealth in your family, no personal wealth of any type. And when people say wealth, people might think, oh, I don't have wealth. We only have $50,000. I only receive $50,000. $50,000 isn't life-changing, but when you're starting from zero or negative, then it is a huge gap outcomes. And so if you're a person who is starting from either a family with no wealth, negative wealth, and trying to figure out how to move up the ladder economically. First of all, I'm not gonna lie, it is hard, and it is getting harder by the day. But here's a strategy that you can use depending on your particular circumstances to help yourself get up. First of all, you got to change your mindset completely about how you approach purchasing houses. So many times I'm seeing people who come to me, and we're a investor and commercial focused brokerage. So we focus on both residential investment properties and commercial investment properties. So what happens is many people say, hey, I want to be an investor, but then they approach it from a pretty house perspective. Oh, how's the yard? Oh, does it have a big yard? Does it have a big fenced in yard? And I know in some cases what they're thinking, oh, it's what a renter wants, or it's they're looking at it from, if I like it, then it's what the renter likes. And that's not necessarily the case. That's the reality of it. What you have to do is you have to look at the market. And many times people are looking like, do I want to live here? Or they're just looking at it from just like, how does it make me feel? Do I get warm, bubbly vibes from the property? And that's not how you approach the investment space. You don't approach it from a, do I have warm, bubbly vibes about the property? What you're looking at, you're not looking at, if you're looking for investment property and this is your one of your first or second properties, you can't come at it from that perspective. You have to be looking at it as this is step one. Basically, you just want to get from, you're at home plate and you're taking swings. You just want to get on first base. You're not trying to hit a home run. You're trying to just get on first base. And so you need to manage your expectations. First of all, don't look at it from a perspective of how it feels. Look at it from a numbers perspective. And many times the numbers simply just don't work. So when the numbers don't work, you have to change your strategy to make it work. One of the things is the house hack. That's what I did. My first house was a duplex. I lived in one unit, rented out the other. Now, fortunately for me, at the time, because the property values were so low, my mortgage payment was covered primarily up until like up to $2 difference between my mortgage payment and what my tenant paid that first year. I basically lived for free for several years, but then property taxes went up and insurance goes up, and so I had to pay a little bit more as things went on. But that's not the case for many people today. For many people today, when you buy that property, this might reduce your mortgage, which might be $2,000 to $1,000. So you have to just be much more creative. You have to get out of that idea of this is how it's supposed to look and just go with what works. So sometimes people are telling me, I don't want a house hack. I don't want to live with other people. What do you want? The reality is you're going to have to make a decision. You choose your hard. It's hard being rich. It's hard being poor. I guess many people would like the hardness of being rich or being wealthy than the hardness of being poor. And so you just have to choose your reality. And to be honest with you, even as you're climbing up, the strategy that you take in the beginning isn't the strategy that you'll continue on throughout your climb. That's assuming that you're in a position to be able to climb up, especially if you don't come from wealth. And in many cases, I'm going to say, in those cases, you really need to focus on legislation and how those things affect your life and can set you up to make life easier for you. To not go off on my tangents, which I'm known to do, I'm going to say one thing is, if you're looking to get into your first investment property, perhaps what I would suggest, if you're not coming from where your family could donate large swaths of money for a down payment, come at it from this perspective. Find a property that maybe is outdated, but still livable or still your mortgage can qualify for. Live in that property as a live-in flip. If you use, I want to say IRS Section 121, which provides that capital gains exclusion on the sale of your primary residence, if you've lived in it 2 of the last 5 years. So basically you need to live in that property 2 years and a day minimum. And if you've been fixing it up over that time period, you can get up to $250,000 as a single person and $500,000 as a married couple of those capital gains tax-free. And so what does that allow you to do? If you can find a property where you can do a live-in flip, meaning you're going to live here 2 years, You could get into the property maybe with a FHA mortgage, 2.5% down, or maybe even a conventional mortgage with 5% down or 3% down, and fix that property up, or even the FHA 203K loans, which I've heard have been becoming much more prominent with what's going on today with everything with housing. So this becomes an opportunity. And many people are like, I don't want to go through all that hassle. What do you want me to tell you? I want a life that is extraordinary, yet I'm not willing to do things that I feel are above and beyond. Do you understand the situation you're winding up in? If this is your goal and you want it to happen, then you have to do what's necessary to make that happen. And so basically, I'm just saying, buckle up, Buttercup, and get it popping. Now, some people are honestly just in such a situation that for them, what you want to focus on policy, because the same way America in the 50s decided there was going to be a middle class and they were going to create this, they created programs that allowed to the expansion of the middle class. The same way people today need to fight for those things that make their lives easier. Otherwise, you're just going to have to continue to work hard, grind yourself to a pulp. Depending on where you've started in the race, you might be so far behind that realistically, there's just not the likelihood is much lower. And so you want to make the environment a way that will give you the best chance of success is what I'm trying to say. And if you are in a position to purchase a house and you're trying to climb the property ladder, then you really need to change up things. I know many times people want to live a certain lifestyle. They think, okay, this is what I see on Instagram. This is what I see this lifestyle looks like. And this is the way people talk and act and whatnot. The reality is you have to do whatever is necessary. By any means necessary, you have to get the job done. What you think you're signing up for is not what you're signing up for. And you need to be willing to make those sacrifices if this is a path that you are choosing to go after. So, because I don't think I made it very clear, it is purchasing a property that you can force appreciation through fixing up. Live in that property 2 to 5 years and then sell that property. Take the capital gains that you receive, whatever it is, up to $250,000 as a single person or up to $500,000 as a married couple. You then take that tax-free wealth and use that as the down payment for a investment property. And what changes in this time around is the properties are probably still expensive, but the difference is you have tax-free wealth that you're able to then put down on the property, which can then pay down the mortgage of your investment property enough to make it cash flow. And then from there, you rinse and repeat. And so then you take the capital gains and you put all of it or a portion of it down on an investment property. But you could also use a portion of it to then start the process over. Find another fixer-upper, live in that property 2 years, a minimum of 2 of the last 5 years, fix it up, sell it, get another chunk of change, and then get into another investment property or potentially pay off investment property, depending on how comfortable you are with leverage. That is what I would suggest for someone today. Because now, why can't you just go directly into it? If you're in a position, you find a property that works in an area that works, go for it. Because there are still affordable areas out there. You have parts of the Midwest, parts further out from major metropolitan areas where there's still cash flowing properties, but maybe their appreciation is lower, but the properties will cash flow. They're typically more run down, so you typically need more experience. Or maybe that's how some people, you cut your teeth with these really, they're cheap properties, but they have a lot of deferred maintenance, meaning that there's a lot of repairs that need to be made. And maybe that's how you learn on some of the cheaper properties further out from the metro area. Now, you may not experience great appreciation from these properties, but once again, it's about step one. So overall, that's what I suggest. You just really need to focus on getting in a property that is not the prettiest, but will pass your bank loan financing. Work on fixing up that house. And I understand not everybody's handy, but that is one of the best ways for an average person, especially with the internet nowadays, to learn how to do a lot of stuff, or to find somebody to go in with this on who maybe is handy, or somebody who can help you out with this. But one of the best ways is you need to get a good chunk of change, and you need to do it in a legal way and a preferable tax-free way. And that exclusion is one of the best ways that a person can do it. Once again, my name is Derek Caffe, licensed real estate broker and licensed general contractor. Can't forget that part. Hope you found some value from this. If you did, please like, please comment, please subscribe to the channel. I just reached 200 subscribers, which is major for me. I'm very thankful for the people who are here for the journey, but the realities of today are you need to be adaptable. You really need to get rid of the weight of being beholden to what worked in the past. Look at the world as it is and not as you're told it should be. Because I think that's also part of the thing. People are looking at the world from it's supposed to be this, and it's not that anymore. But they're just trying to make everything fit. No, it's not the same world. We're in a different time. Financially, economically, politically, things are changing. And if you don't adapt, you will be left behind. And it's sad we have a world where people are being left behind. It used to be the good guys defended the weak. Nowadays, it's like they're just kicking them. Like, oh, why are you so weak? I'm sorry, those aren't the good guys. The good guys aren't being praised anymore. It's up to you to determine the future. And so get out there, kick some ass, do what's necessary, and make it happen. But anyway, Derek Caffe, until the next video, I'm out.